Welcome to the Better Business Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Zelan. Join me week after week as I interview high-level entrepreneurs on their journey to success, both in business and personal development. Each week presents new stories to learn from and new ideas on how to run a better business. Stay updated with all the guests we'll have by subscribing to this podcast. Welcome to another episode of Better Business with Austin Zelan. I'm super excited to have our guest, Andre Homulenko. You know, we've been chatting about this with him for so long, probably like 6 or 7 months now. We've been wanting to do this podcast everywhere from Germany, that was the original plan, to Italy, and now finally we made it happen in Dubai. So I'm very excited. Yeah, great work, man. Great work. We finally made it happen. Anyways, he's got a really fascinating story that I want to share with you guys and ask him some business questions, because I really truly believe that you're going to walk away with some gems and some nuggets on how to run a better business. He's done a ton of even consulting work for some of the largest organizations in the world. So Andre, thank you so much for joining me here today. I think it'd be good if we could start out just sharing a little bit about your experience professionally, your life story, and then we'll kind of dive into that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, very well welcome to his podcast. And I'm really so much excited that we finally did it after 6 months of preparation. Yeah. So good job. Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Homulenko. I was originally born in Ukraine, 1988. And when I was 20 in 2008, I got the scholarship from the German government. This is how I went for studying abroad to Germany. This is actually where I met Olga, the love of my life. And this was my personal reason to stay in Germany, where we spent about 10 years living in Munich, in Bavaria, where we also met with Austin for the first time during one of our last summits for investors. So I used to work there for one of the top strategy consulting firms, which basically exposed me to more than 30 different projects in more than 10 countries. And the funny thing is actually that I am very familiar with that background that you can see here on behind, ladies and gentlemen, because we are filming it out of Dubai. And I used to live in that city between 2016 and 18 when I was working for some governmental officials, I would say.
Can you tell us which governmental officials?
I'm not allowed to say it. Sorry. It's confidential.
Okay. Well, we're going to try to get as much information as we can.
Right. Yes, I'm happy to share as much as I can. Yeah, and then 2019, we moved after Middle East back to Europe. And since then, we are living very close to Bern in beautiful Switzerland. This is also where I started doing my own business. It was first in career coaching and consulting. And later we also picked up with Olga way more projects also related to investments. And my wife and I currently, we are also organizing 4 times a year big boutique events. We call them Investor Summits. And this is also the nice reason why we're meeting again this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've definitely thoroughly enjoyed the investor summits. It's always such an interesting crowd of people. And I think kind of your story is part of what attracts these people to the event, because you've been exposed to some of the most high profile organizations in the entire world. And you've leveraged some of your consulting experience to help them grow and become better and stuff like that. So earlier on in your career, did you always know that you wanted to do consulting or business related things?
I mean, I can remember myself when I was like 20, I was always excited person. Like I was coming for the first time in my life from Ukraine to Europe, and it completely widened up my horizon. And I was so curious to travel, to try new things. And when you're 20, you're like going really full power out. So living in Germany, I was also giving it a try to several different reasons, because in my 20s, I didn't really want at that period of time what exactly I wanted to do. So that's why I had like about 5 or 6 internships in different companies. And one of them was one of the top strategy consulting firms, the internship that I did in Ukraine when I got back from studies from Germany. And it literally blew up my mind from the level of professionalism and the scope and the kind of impact that I was able to create, while also expanding my horizon and pushing myself beyond the limits. That what really fascinated me. So, of course, after doing these 6 internships, I decided, whoa, that was exactly the most interesting thing that I want to do moving forward. It was not investment banking because it was too much data crunching, but with strategy consulting, that was for me the way how, and actually I got a mind-blowing experience few years afterwards, because after my first internship, I was imagining myself doing international projects, flying business class, I don't know, working with top officials, making handshakes with them. And that all actually came true just 6 years afterwards.
Wow, that's awesome. I think actually you kind of really framed it up well. I think for people who are curious about business or entrepreneurship and those things, and they just want to increase their level of professionalism or even just, do better work overall, they should experience consulting, because I had a very similar experience myself when I was working some consulting for like Microsoft and companies like that.
Yeah, tell me more about it, because I think people should also know a little bit more your story, Austin.
Yeah. Well, hey, this episode I think is to highlight your expertise, but I mean, I will share a little bit. It's like, the level of professionalism that you learn to deliver is just night and day difference. I literally had no idea what it meant to, I would say no idea. I was like maybe 19, 20 years old. I had no idea what it meant to truly deliver some professional deliverables until I started doing consulting. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. It's like a whole different world, and you don't know unless you know. And so now it kind of really benefited me in business, because I can look at new business owners, and sometimes they haven't made that realization yet. And they're just kind of working like they're doing the best that they can, but that's because they don't know what the corporate world actually looks like. And so it's a very, very interesting thing for me as well. And I think it's a special experience. If anybody can become an intern for a little while and just intern at a consulting firm, that would give them so much business experience, learning how to do all those things. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So what were some of the biggest obstacles, would you say, like as you're growing in this career, as you're experiencing all these things, did you face anything that was exceptionally challenging?
I would say there are so many tons of obstacles on the way straight from the beginning that you need to prove yourself to be one of the best just in order to be able to get there. Because, like the statistics says, there is a famous company. It's not an advertisement, but let's say it's McKinsey, because many people know about it. So statistics says that about 1 million people actually applies for McKinsey every year, and out of this 1 million, they only take between 8 to 12,000 per year, which basically means that the success quote is just about 0.8 to 1.2%. And in the company that I used to work for, it was nothing different. And my additional obstacle was not only to prove that I am better than 100 of other candidates, but since I've been living in Germany, my obstacle was also to prove that in German, in a foreign language, which was extremely highly competitive. So that was the first and the main thing. Then the second main thing is basically how not only to get there, but also to become there successful. And I will be honest with you, it didn't happen just overnight like this. I was fired from my first consulting job after 3 years because my performance was not up to their expectations. So they expected quadratisch praktisch gut. This is a German quote, like for someone who is extremely strict in their mindset. But I'm Ukrainian. I don't think like that, and I have my other powers. So I didn't fit into that German environment. that's why I decided to change, and I moved to an international consulting firm. And then it started really working because I did my learnings from the past. Like, it hit my ego really a lot that I was fired because I was extremely ambitious and I did all the best and I worked my ass off to make to the promotion, and it still didn't work out. By contrast, I was fired. Point. So it hit me into the ass in a positive aspect. And basically, it increased even more my motivation, my gear. And I was extremely focused on my second job. And that's why I was promoted extremely fast. Actually, I just received my promotion to the next level in the second job only 5 or 6 months while I was still in the probation period, something that doesn't happen at all, because usually people get promoted in consulting, at least at these kind of firms like McKinsey, BCG, Roland Berger, Strategy, and etc., every 2 years. Well, I was having my promotion already in the probation period.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And I think you actually, I don't know if you realize this, but you shared a very, very important concept. You know, it's like you had all these skills and you were thinking a little bit differently than the people at that consulting firm. And by staying at that consulting firm, you worked so hard. You were obviously creating good deliverables in a foreign language. Like, you worked so hard. You were creating great things for them. But because of the environment that you were in, it wasn't appreciated. And instead of you getting a promotion, like, you literally just got fired, you know? And so I think that's a huge lesson for business owners. Maybe somebody's watching this and they're like, oh, I'm working so hard and I'm just not succeeding here. Well, maybe it's a sign that they need to change the environment that they're in or the space that they're in. So if somebody's watching this and they think, okay, maybe I need to change my positioning in the market, how do they know it's time to pivot?
That's actually a very, very interesting question. I mean, the thing is, you never know exactly when the breakthrough comes, because you might fail once, you might fail twice, you might fail 3 times, you might fail 7 times, 10 times, 15 times. But then just don't stop. Please don't stop, guys. Keep on going, keep on trying the new approaches. I have heard this so much time that the difference between success and unsuccess is just about 2 degrees or 2 inches. So it's a very, very tiny difference. And sometimes you just need to calibrate a little bit more your approach. So please never give up. Or yes, of course, sometimes situations hit you down. Okay, lie down, relax a little bit, but then stand up and work your fucking ass off towards the next deliverable.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so when you moved to this international consulting firm, now all of a sudden it's like the whole game shifted, because now your skill set was appreciated. Your insight was a little bit different than everybody else, and you had something really, really valuable to share. So how do you think that that contributed to your success in that career?
I think it contributed a lot in many ways. First of all, if in the previous firm, it was my disadvantage to be a foreigner. In that firm, it was my advantage, because the firm values entrepreneurship, initiative, and also diversity very much. So I felt myself to be like in the right pond, if you can say so.
Yeah.
And also the quality of the people, like what you said, like who surrounds you. Especially, I'm very thankful to my previous mentor at this company. He taught me so many things through leadership by example. I was able to admire the true leaders and to copy or to mimic them, basically. So therefore, it stated really very much a lot. And I can share so many jokes with you, because, I was working in Dubai 2016 to 19 in a very multinational environment. I think we had like more than 20 nationalities. When we were working on the project here. And it was so funny to see like this very strict German mentality, that I described to you. And on the other side, extremely flexible Arabic mentality. Yani, yani, inshallah. So this kind of culture, if you know friends from Dubai and from the Middle East, what I'm talking about, put a smiley and a hug in the comment below this video. You can definitely enjoy it. So I was able to bridge these completely two different cultures, which simply were not able to work with each other. And that's where my talent also started to serve me and to finally bring in the dividends.
Yeah. And this is actually a very, very common conversations that I have with business owners, because sometimes they really feel like, oh, because of this thing, I have a huge disadvantage. So for example, like in the German environment, it was seen as a disadvantage. But if you just reposition yourself where your talent or your maybe like unique thing about you serves you, that can make the whole difference. So you find ways to make your disadvantage your advantage. And even if it means moving somewhere else where it's appreciated and it serves you to be more successful. So yeah, very, very interesting. So, okay. So as you move to this multinational organization, can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you were working on?
I mean, generally speaking, I was doing about probably more than 30 projects in 10 different countries across the globe. It's like really different scope, starting from all over Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, including Ukraine, including Russia, including Far East for South Korean clients. And also I spent about 1.5 years here in the Middle East. That's why I'm still having some small talk in Arabic like present. I really need to refresh it. So I'm happy to be able to do that over the coming few days together with you.
Definitely. So what would you say was the most interesting project you ever worked on?
I think there was several of them, but definitely one of the most, it was extremely challenging, was actually here in Dubai for some of the local authorities.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I mean, we were helping them to design some crazy things that are now in the newspapers.
Wow. Okay. Well, hey,
that was back 2016.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so interesting for us. Like sometimes we think about like even new technology today that's like AI and all these different things. And there are literally people that were 10 years ago working on this stuff, and we just didn't hear about it. And now it's mainstream. Now it's viral. Now it's a buzzword. But these things were really in motion a long time ago. And there were people like yourself, consultants who were helping develop some of these things and even plan like a future trajectory for it. So,
and I mean, ladies and gentlemen, just please pay closer attention to what's really happening and going on in the MENA region. MENA stands for Middle East and North Africa. So what's specifically happening in GCC, like Gulf countries? So what's happening in Saudi Arabia? What's happening in UAE? Or what's happening in Qatar? How quickly these markets and these countries are emerging. They're like shifting from literally medieval ages back in 20th century into like a rocket into 22nd century, or I don't know, next millennium, probably. I mean, you will be seeing flying drones here in Dubai in the next 5 years, and this is not a joke. I'm honestly serious about it. And like what these countries are creating, just come and visit these places, especially also Saudi Arabia. It's incredible what kind of transformation the country is undergoing within just one generation. One generation is 20 years. I mean, if you just look back, go to ask ChatGPT to give you the pictures of Dubai of the beginning of 90s and compare it to what is built now. It's just only 30 years afterwards. It's 1.5 generations. It's like incredible things. I mean, I am coming now to Dubai after, I was here last time, probably even before COVID, 2019. I'm still very much surprised how many new things have been built here. And it's so good to see how the city and how the whole country is also evolving.
Yeah, definitely. They're on a huge growth trajectory, and it's amazing what they've been able to accomplish. So, okay, cool. So you worked on all these multinational projects, and then how did that bring you to where you're at today?
It was not without pain and suffering, I would say, because, consulting somehow, maybe it's just a personal thing. When you are experienced, I think I was too young to experience too much success in my early years, and my ego was boosted so much, and I probably wasn't able to process it. When success is given to you too early, it could be also sometimes challenging. But then after reflection, then also many things happened which completely changed my mindset. COVID was one of them, definitely. The second one was Russian war against Ukraine, because my family was directly affected by it. It all pushed me to reflect about what are my core values really are. And then, of course, after moving back from the Middle East to Europe, in Switzerland, I founded my first company back in 2019. I started developing myself as an entrepreneur, later from 2020 also as an investor. So now my core focus is on delivering the core value to the people, to my clients, but first of all, predominantly to take care of my family, of my beloved wife, of my dog, of my family and friends, of my community, of our club. Is my entire value system has actually changed from actually, while being consultant, I wanted to be significant and to show off also a lot. I was way younger. And now it's more about contributing, actually creating something good for people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so can you share any specific strategies or tactics that helped you grow the business that you have currently?
Consulting itself helped me. It was like a foundation for this professionalism that I got from the very early stages, because I was able to work literally on the CEO level, so on the board member, up to the shop floor level with just normal workers, and to find the bridges in communication with all of them. It also pushed me to put myself into the shoes of other counterparts to understand better their positions, which helped me a lot in solving many different conflicts. And since I've been advising so many companies, governments, banks, corporations, I also understood how their internal systems are working. So I was literally able to see so many best practices, which I directly incorporated and maybe even unconsciously implemented into my businesses. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so you talked a little bit about problem solving. So after working with so many different organizations, so many levels of leadership from the top all the way down to the bottom, have you developed any frameworks or systems that you use for problem solving when you're consulting an organization?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, there are so many frameworks already available that you don't need to necessarily invent the bicycle one more time when it has already been involved. But I would say that my framework is always tailored to the needs of the client, basically. It's not about me. It's not about what I'm trying to sell him. It's about him or her. What are the problems in the business? And then we try together with my team and with the client to find the best solutions and develop and always customize them. Of course, we use the common knowledge, we use the best practices that are already there, but also very often we are inventing new things for the clients.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you approach decision making in your business?
That's actually a very, very, very good question. In my 20s, when I was an employee in the strategy consulting, it was all about rationalizing your decision. It should be always fact-based, backed up with, 100 slides and backup. Data is saying that's why we are recommended. Nowadays, I see extremely more that I simply need to trust my intuition. So it's a combination nowadays between my intuition and fact-based. I really like when I have some fact-based options that I need to decide. And then sometimes, the best decisions are just coming to me in the flow. For example, when I'm having a quick nap or I'm waking up and I know the solution, how it should be done. Or when I'm swimming or taking a shower in the water, I don't know, somehow it works in a magnificent way. But that's just my thing. You guys should probably discover how you can connect to your own intuition. And it's always very good when your heart goes along with your mind.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And so do you have any tips for people to connect better to their intuition? Is that something that they can develop?
My wife meditates currently with Joe Dispenza method around 1 hour and daily, and she's extremely disciplined. It helps her to connect. I am, as I told you, I'm having a nap, or I'm just going for a swim like we did in Stresa in Italy together with you on the yacht. So this is like my way. And I'm pretty sure that you need to find your own way. Maybe it's just going for a run or going for a walk or just doing something monotonous or listening to good music. Or to good podcast of Austin. Just hit the subscribe the button and hit the like for him.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it's basically, it's in your hands and you need to discover what is exactly your way to connect to your intuition, because my way probably might not fit to your way. So find your way.
Yeah, definitely. So how important would you say networking and building relationships is in business?
It's actually very key. People told me about this in 20s, but I didn't really understood why. And I was underestimating this. But now I really literally understand why your network is your net worth. Mm-hmm. So it's like, these are the decisions, like who are the people that you are hanging around with, what you can do for them, what they can do for you. And the more and the higher quality caliber people you know, the more opportunity you will be exposed into the future. So good new people open you new opportunities. This is actually one of my primary motivations why I'm doing this investors networking summits 4 times a year, because it's like a grid. It's like a filter for me to expose myself and get in contact with really new, interesting people from all over the world, and to filter them out, like with whom we fit, with whom we doesn't fit. So, just interesting example. You will see this tomorrow in our VIP dinner, that almost everyone there are almost no random people. Like all are nowadays either my partners or co-investors, or we do some projects together, or just my friends. This is actually how also our relationship with you is been growing and developing over the time this year.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely happy and thankful for this year that I met you.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it as well. You've been a great friend.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so if somebody's watching this, and I hear this from some people, they're just shy. Maybe they don't like to build a network. So they're like, no, I'm just going to focus on my business here. I don't want to build a network. Do you think it's possible to run a successful business without networking and building relationships?
I think that over the time, the people will come to understanding that networking is important, and that even the shy, like I was also, I mean, like in the childhood, I was extremely bullied by other people. I grew up in not the best environment. I mean, whoever was born in post-Soviet countries in 90s and grew up would probably better understand me, my standpoint. So I was extremely shy. So this is not how I was born, but this is like the man who I decided to become myself. So at some point of time, entrepreneurs will probably come to an insight of understanding that networking can serve them. And that's why I can only highly encourage everyone, put some efforts into networking, and don't expect their immediate results, because they are accumulated over the time. So it always takes time, and be patient with the people. Give them second chance, give them third chance, and be also selective with the people. Try to hang up only with people that from whom you can learn, from whom you can grow, basically. There is a nice saying: if you are in the room where you feel yourself the smartest, you're probably in the wrong room.
Yeah, that's very, very true. One thing that I really admire about you, and I'm still learning a little bit more how to be this way, I love to work. I landed late last night. Today we have 8 back-to-back interviews. So I love to work, and my whole time here is fully booked. But you've really mastered the art of work-life balance. You're like, today I'm working all day, but tomorrow I'm in Italy, and so can you tell us a little bit more about how you've managed to build this schedule where you have like these deep work days, but then you're also like, you know what, I'm taking a train to Italy and don't talk to me for the next 3 days?
Yeah. I mean, it's also, it doesn't come just overnight. It's been the process of it. And, when I was working here in Dubai you want to joke about work-life balance?
Sure.
So my work-life balance between 2016 and 2018 was actually 2 jokes. First, number 1. The sleep is very overrated. And number 2, we invented the new term. Instead of weekends, we had month ends, which actually means that you have just one freaking day off in a month.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes businesses like that.
So yeah, but then of course, when you and Austin, with all respect, you will see it also in future. When you get married, when you have more responsibilities, you will also understand that the life is not only about business or not only about material things. It's more about relationships, because what really, my biggest insight from 2022, which was my biggest trauma, by the way, was to understand that the death is inevitable and that it can happen at every moment of time. It just literally almost happened to my parents, and I was not prepared for that. So this was a very, very awakening call for me to completely reflect about my values, and also to put the right priorities. Because at the end of the day, when you will die, and there is like a quick film about your life before you actually dies, going through your mind. I would really question whether you would remember how hard you have been working. But what you would really remember were the best times in your life, which are very often associated with spending some quality time with your beloved ones.
Wow. That's the most powerful lesson we learned today.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah,
happy
thank
to
you
share.
so much. Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. Wow, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. So if somebody wants to connect with you, where's the best place to find you?
I mean, I think that below this video, you will probably find the links to my social networks, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn. Guys, feel free to connect. And especially if you are interested in the topics of investing, which is one of my latest passions. 4 times a year, we also conduct great events. That's why we're here in Dubai. So if you fulfill the criteria, we would be happy to meet in person one day. And yeah, dear Austin, I'm so glad that we finally made it. Give me that chaka. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks guys for hopping on and joining us here today. This was Andre Homulenko. He had some amazing insights on business and most importantly, the importance of life and, even death, like how it can happen instantly. So maybe it takes us all a moment to kind of reprioritize and reassess our values. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to do that and even learn from some of the business things that he shared. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, and maybe just one last thing that I would like to add. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be really very interested to share with you even more. I could be active into the comment field if you want to, but I'm really wondering, what was the most valuable thing that you picked up for yourself, for you personally, and also for your business from this conversation that we just had with Austin? Please write down into the comment and we will probably pick the next, the best 3 questions and then do some promo for the writers. So we are excited to read your comments. Thank you so much, Austin.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Cheers. Bye.